Hello, my name is Dustin Lindbergh, and I'm a visually impaired man from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Today, we're going to talk about my disability. We're going to talk about my background, and we're going to talk about what motivates me as a blind and visually impaired man to live on my own in Minneapolis and trying to hold down a job, and why I do it, the passion I have because of it, and why I'm never not going to quit doing it. I grew up in a city called Wade Park, Minnesota. It's a small town / suburb of St. Cloud. My whole family is from the St. Cloud area. The Lindberghs, they're from St. Cloud. The Bechtolds, they're from St. Cloud. The Wegmans, they're from St. Cloud. And most of my close family is from the St. Cloud area. I grew up in a trailer park called Belclair Acres. It's a small trailer park next to the Quarry Park and Wade Park. So if you type in the Quarries and you go to the Wade Park one, I'm literally in the trailer park that's right next to the Quarries. I grew up there. I have 2 brothers and 1 sister, and I love them dearly. My older brother, his name is Taylor, and he sells insurance. My younger brother, Caleb, he does HVAC. So what that means is he installs air conditioners and heating devices inside of people's homes and into big skyscrapers like in downtown Minneapolis. So, and then my sister's in middle school. And I'm always an animal lover. So I always grew up having a dog, having a cat, having chickens, having a pig, having snakes. We had a bunch of birds. I grew up having fish. Because I'm just a very animal person. We had lizards, but that's further down in the story. So, I grew up in this trailer park called Belclair Acres with my siblings. Belclair Acres is a very Mexican neighborhood. Our family and this other family were the only another family, so it was 3 of us were really the only 3 white families in the neighborhood, and we had 2 or 3 Asian families, and the rest was Latino / Mexicans. So in our trailer park where we grew up, being white and Asian, you were a minority. Being if you were Latino / Mexican, you were the highest population in the trailer park I grew up in. I didn't mind. So our trailer house was on 99 Jormart Drive, St. Cloud, Minnesota. It's technically Wade Park, but because Wade Park didn't have their own postal office at that same time where we lived, so we were assigned a St. Cloud address even when we lived in Wade Park. So me and my siblings, we grew up in a 2-bedroom trailer house. My mom and dad were in one, and my little sister were with my parents. and me and my two brothers were in the other room. And me and my brother Caleb and my brother Taylor, at that time, we were very, very close, because think about when three of you guys are sharing like one bedroom, you have no choice but to get along and be close. So like we grew up sharing each other's clothes. We grew up playing with each other's toys. We grew up fighting over the TV because our TV only had our bedroom only had one TV in it. So we fought over the TV. We used to go outside and play in the backyard of our trailer. Life was very calm. Life was very peaceful. My dad does body shop work for cars. So sometimes sometimes business would be slow, and we would be even more poorer than normal. We were poor before, but when business got slow, we were poor even more. But I knew always would be okay because my parents are divorced. So my older brother, Taylor, he's my step-sibling. And my brother, Caleb, and my sister, Kyra, are my half-siblings. So I have divorced parents. And so I got to live between my mom and my dad. So then if I needed anything, like I could reach out to my mom. And like, hey mom, I need this. Hey mom, I need that. Hey mom, I need this. Hey mom, I need that. And she would always she would give me things that my dad and my stepmom couldn't provide me, because she's like my third parent. So my siblings always had a disadvantage because they didn't have a third parent. I did. And when I was a kid, my mom was living in three places. She was living in Brooklyn Park. She was living in St. Cloud. And she was living somewhere up in North Minnesota, somewhere around Brainerd. So, my mom was living between three places. So, when we were planning to hang out with my mom, just me and my mom, we would go stay at her apartment in Brooklyn Park. And then when that weekend we were planning to go see my family, she would pick me up, and then we would from Way Park and just drive over to St. Cloud, and then we will just stay at my Aunt Susie's house. Because what's the whole point of driving all the way down to Brooklyn Park and then driving all the way up when everyone I want to see is just one town over? So me and my mom, we spent every other weekend, I would spend a lot of time with my mom and Aunt Susie. I would stay at her house because why not? I want to see them, and Way Park and St. Cloud are right next to each other. So we would just crash at my aunt's house. I feel bad for my aunt because I drew all over her walls, played in her backyard, and terrorized her cats. But she had one cat that terrorized me, so it's kind of, so the world went full circle. And then I would spend time at my dad's. And then I had my great grandma who lived in Way Park, but she kind of lived on the Way Park St. Cloud border, in the old part of town. So my grandma lived actually in town. So my dad my real dad and my real mom would, when I wanted to escape them both, would drop me off at my grandma's house. I spent a lot of time at my grandma's house, and she lived across the street from the Way Park city hall / fire department, because slash police department, because Wade Park's such a small town. They can have a fire department, a city hall, and a police department all in one building. So my mom would or my real mom or my real dad would drop me off there, and I spent even some weekends with my grandma. Because I was with my dad, Monday through Friday. And then, on the weekends, when it was his weekends, I'm sorry to say, I was sick of seeing him and my siblings. So then I could hang out at my grandma's house. And it was escape from, everyone. And then when it came to my mom's, then I would go hang out with my mom, and because I'm sorry to say I have autism with my low vision, and you're living in a 2-bedroom trailer, and an autistic kid needs a lot of space. When I went to my grandma's house, I was the only one at my grandma's house, and my grandma had a whole room just for me. So I could go and I could play, and I could, she would feed me cookies, actually homemade cookies and stuff. And I really, really, really miss my great-grandma. Me and her were close, like peanut butter and jelly sandwich ingredients close. You can't eat a sandwich unless you have peanut butter and jelly. So, I really, really, really loved my grandma, my great-grandma, and we hung out almost every other weekend too, because I see my dad Monday through Friday. I want to spend my weekends with grandma when I'm not with my mom. So I spent a lot of time, and when I was this age, I only knew about my autism because my autism was very, very bad, and my ADHD was very, very bad. And everyone was only noticing my ADHD and my autism, that no one really noticed my vision loss. And I didn't notice my vision loss either because I was so busy trying to fight my ADHD and autism. So, no one, even me, I didn't even notice my vision loss at this point because I was fighting another battle with 2 other disabilities at the time. So, me and my real dad, we're both stubborn ass bitches. So, me and my dad, we always used to get in arguments, we always used to get into fights, and blah, blah, blah. Because me and my dad, we're both stubborn, and we both don't like to lose an argument. So then when I needed a break, I would call my great-grandma, Grandma, I need to get out of here. And then she would pick me up, and of course I'll leave my dad a note saying, hey, I'm at grandma's house. But, I just needed a break from my father. I love my father, but when you put me, that's strong-headed and ambitious, with my father, who's strong-headed and ambitious, and he's stubborn and I'm stubborn, sometimes our atoms bump and a nuclear explosion happens. I live with my dad. I love my dad, but I could never live with him because every time we live together, it comes fights and yells and blah, 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 because me and him are just the same. As living with my dad is like me living with an older clone of myself. And I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect son. And my dad's not the perfect dad, and and I don't hold that against him. My dad has flaws, I have flaws, everyone has flaws. So, we grew up, I went between my mom's house in Brooklyn Park / apartment. She lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. I grew up in Wade Park with my grandma. I grew up in St. Cloud with my Aunt Susie. And I grew up in Belclay Acres. So I grew up with those 3 people and those people in my world, and now that's my rotation. And I loved it. I loved my life. I felt like, and my great grandpa, he was a sheriff of Stearns County, and I could when I went over to go visit my great grandma, like, he would tell me about some of this police stories he was allowed to tell me, He couldn't tell me about the Jacob Wetterling case. He couldn't tell me about the big, like, stuff, but he could tell me, like, oh, I pulled over this guy today, and blah, 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 and this is what he told me, and blah, blah, blah. So I was also really close to my great-grandpa, but my great-grandpa did not live long. He died, like, very young in my life, but he used to have a big, massive police antenna radio outside his house, and I was like, cool, Grandpa, can you call the aliens with that? Because, when I was a kid, I wasn't really, like, Christian, but I was like, I knew there's something bigger out there. So I always thought it was like aliens like E.T. or aliens like Star Trek or aliens like Star Wars. And I was like, ooh, there has to be aliens out there. And I was always thought, like, and when I was a little kid, I'm like 5 feet tall, and my grandpa has this big like cellular like tower thing outside his house to communicate with all his sheriffs. Because number Wade Park is such a small town that not everywhere had cell phone signal. So to communicate with the sheriffs way out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a cornfield, you have to have communications. And because my grandpa's the sheriff, he put a big freaking radio tower in his yard, so he can communicate with his coworkers like in the middle of the boondocks where there's no cell phone service. So this big, massive tower, and my great-grandpa is also obsessed with freaking trains, and every little boy likes trains because, they're trains. So he had train stuff all over his front yard. He had this big police tower, and, I was just fascinated with my great-grandpa. He was a very fascinating man. It sucks that he died, but in his sleep. But at least he went peacefully. And then after he died, I would spend time with my grandma. My great-grandma took me bowling. Winman Park had a bowling alley. She would take me, like, to Dairy Queen. Dairy Queen, guys, is still my freaking favorite restaurant. McDonald's is, like, second, but Dairy Queen and Culver's, that's up there. My grandma used to take me to those places a lot. I'm a high-class bitch, you guys. I love Dairy Queen. I like my Culver's. I like my Five Guys. I like my Val's. I don't like the cheap shit, you guys. My grandma raised me up on good quality junk food. And I miss her. I miss doing those things with her. And my grandma used to have this big boat. I grew up calling them boat cars, where they're like freaking like big with big massive trunks. And like, I see them in North Minneapolis all the time, where they take these old cars that are 24, 25, 26 years old, and they put like the big like wheels and the flashy lights and blah, blah, blah. So older car like that. My grandma had a big boat, old car, massive. When you open up the hood, the engine was like exposed, and you can see through the engine and see the tar underneath, because there was nothing below it. So there was a massive engine, and anyone could fix the car. This was before like cars say you need a special key to even open up the trunk. You'll even open the engine. These engines were gas guzzlers, simple, easy devices. And my grandma, when you hopped in her car felt like you were the freaking limo. Like, it was this big, massive, cushiony, beautiful couch-like seats. And she used to have, remember guys, this is before cell phones became like small and wireless. And then she had like a landline phone, built into her car. And then on top of her car, it was a wireless antenna. So if you wanted to call anyone, you have to while you're in her car, you have to pick up the phone and you have to dial it. She literally had like a landline thing in her car. And then you can call people because it will go through the cellular antenna on top of the car. My grandpa and grandma were great-grandma were very into technology. So then I can call my dad or whatever from my grandma's car as we're driving around town. So I really loved my grandma. And we would do things like that together. And my dad, and my stepmom, and my siblings would also do things together. We would go to Subway, McDonald's, Val's, the same kind of thing. So my dad, my stepdad, my real dad, my stepmom, and my siblings and my grandma took me to similar places. That's why I'm fat. So I really enjoyed my childhood. And I grew up in St. Cloud. I went to Discovery Elementary. I went to North Junior High. And I did my first year of high school at Apollo. And that time my brother was a senior and my parents wanted to move because my sister, we didn't want to raise my sister with my sister needed her own room. So at this point, my dad was trying to get us into a bigger house so my sister can have her own room. And we wanted to wait before my older brother Taylor graduated high school because we wanted him to graduate from the same high school he began, so he won't have trauma when he goes to a new high school and has to make new friends. So I sacrificed and I left Apollo my first year of high school. And I left all my friends, my paradise life in St. Cloud. And we did this pretty much for my sister. So sometimes when I look at her, I get angry and I get pissed, and I try to push those feelings aside because we did this whole move for her. I lost my friends. I lost my paradise in St. Cloud just so my sister can have her own room. Because in St. Cloud, it was hard to find a house that was affordable on my dad's low-income budget to find a place for us to live. Because St. Cloud, guys, if you guys want a house in St. Cloud, it's a very expensive place. Definitely if you want like a 4-bedroom house. So we ended up moving to a place called Otsego. It's a small town outside of Elk River. And it's between pretty much Rogers and Elk River. And that's when I started going to Rogers High School. And my brother started to get his life together by working at the Holiday in town, getting his first car, and all that. And my younger brother Caleb went into Rogers Middle School, and my sister was so little yet that she didn't go to school yet. At this point in my life, when I started going to middle school, and my ADHD and my autism became more under control, this is when we started to discover my vision issues. So I didn't discover my vision issues until I was like 13 to 14 years old, because that's when I started finally getting my autism and my ADHD under control. And I was able to do it naturally because I started to know my body. I knew right when it was going to start so I can stop it. And it's when puberty started. When puberty started, it kind of like killed like my autism part and enhanced my ADHD. And then that's when my visually impaired journey began. And I was 13 and 14 years old. Just getting into like high school. Just figuring myself out. And once I moved to Rogers, started going to Rogers High School, and because my dad lived in Otsego, that's when my life went from paradise on top of the hill, beautiful illusions, pure happiness and joy, to a roller coaster. But some of the ups and downs, weren't all bad. I had some good hills, I got some downhills, I got some good hills, got some downhills, I got some good hills, and I got some downhills. And this all started because my sister was born. If my sister was not born, if we did not have her, I would be a St. Cloud resident still. I went to college up in St. Cloud. I went to university up in St. Cloud, and I'll be a disabled, visually impaired man up in St. Cloud, not a visually impaired man in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So when my sister was born, it changed the whole trajectory of my life. And I am happy she's around. I love my sister. My sister has more pros than the cons. So I just want to let you know before I continue more into this story, because right now I'm making my sister look like the bad guy, the villain of my life. She's not the villain of my life. She's actually improved my life, my sister. I love my brothers, I'm gonna say, but my sister has taught me things about life that my brothers could never have taught me. She has improved my life in ways that I can't explain. I don't have a close bond to my sister. Me and my sister are not besties, I'm going to say. But I still love and care for her. I'm very close, in my opinion. I'm very close with my half brother Caleb, my youngest one, because my youngest brother, because I like to play swords with him. I like to play video games with him. Me and him used to build Minecraft fortresses together as my older stepbrother Taylor was at work. Because when me and Taylor was at work, me and Caleb were like, he's gone. Let's use the game console. No one is able to stop us, because we only had one game console. And then we could build our Minecraft worlds together. And I'm sorry to say, as my brother Caleb, I don't know if he feels the same way. I feel like he's the other half of me, because I'm the positive and the floaty and the colorful one, and he's the serious, the I must follow all rules one. I'm the one there's no cars, let's jaywalk, woohoo. My brother's like, no, there's no cars here. That arrow's not green. I'm not walking, even if there's no cars here, until that damn arrow turns green for me to walk. So me and my brother's more, I must follow protocol. I'm more, woohoo, there's no cops here and there's no cars here. Let's just jaywalk, woohoo. So I'm more of the free-spirited one. My brother Caleb is more of the I must follow traditional rules one. And it happened because I'm like that way. Woohoo! And my brother, because we always hung out with each other, he became the opposite. And what's funny is my favorite color is blue, right? You know what his favorite color ended up being? Red. And I hate red. I will wear it. I will have it near me, but my whole house is not going to be red, okay? So what happens is his least favorite color is blue, because he saw everything about me blue. Blue jeans, blue shirt, blue walls, blue bed sheets, blue pillowcases, blue, 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 blue. he's probably sick of seeing the color blue because of me. So then he probably chose red. And then, so our bedroom was half blue, half red, and Taylor chose whatever color Dad and Mom let him choose because me and Caleb always fought over the bright colors. So me and my brother Caleb, I would die for that man. I would destroy whole armies for that man. And he is my best friend. Even if he doesn't know my brother. Now, my brother Caleb should know he's my best friend because I'm just putting it on the internet. But my brother Caleb is my best friend. And I will never, ever, ever want him to go away. As long as he can text me, as long as he can call me, as long as I can send text to him, and we keep good communication, that's all what I want. The next section of this podcast episode is going to be my non-boring part of my life. From the year of my Rogers high school experience to my graduation and beyond. So, because I wanted to do the more boring part of my life at the beginning, so then it makes sense when I get to the exciting part. So, because if I just start off with the exciting part, you'd be like, oh, this makes no sense. So I just wanted to wait so I can get the boring part done. And we can start the exciting part about my low vision journey. How it is being low vision. How I feel about having low vision. How my low vision and autism and ADHD mix and clash and start a flame. How my life is going, not according to plan. You'll hear all that all next in the second part.